Back in the 90s, I was into BMX. I used to ride in Sheffield, in England. But back in the 90s, the BMX parts, the BMX bikes, were shit. They were made out of soft metal. There was no innovation. The companies that were making them were just run by kids, mainly. They were shit, really crap. Compared to mountain biking at the time, they were just junk. I bought a BMX from a shop for 400 quid, went out, and within about half an hour, I bent the rear axle. So I went back to the shop, and the guy in the shop just said, well, there's nothing you can do, mate. So I went to another shop, and that guy said, yeah, there's nothing you can do, mate. But there is this guy I know who has been making his own parts in his cellar who could help you out. So he gave me his phone number. I rang him up, went around his house, and he sold me this hub that he'd made, fitted it on my bike, and it's still running today in 2016, right? Now, who was that guy? That guy was Jorge French. Now, if you're into BMX, you know who that is. Jorge French is the guy behind G-Sport. He went on to work for Odyssey and Sunday, and he's probably the main innovator in BMX. I'd say he's responsible for taking BMX from being complete shit in terms of parts to being phenomenal. Now, how did he do it? Well, he just applied good, decent, effective engineering principles to bike parts. And he designed everything from scratch, addressing issues that people were having with their parts at the time. So he was a true engineer in that sense, still is. So from the late 90s, our bikes, our hubs at least, and the components that George was making, led the way for the rest of the industry to really sort itself out, really step up its game. So from the late 90s over into sort of 2000, 2001, the quality of BMX parts skyrocketed, really good. Cut to me standing in a skate park in about 2002, sitting on a pretty decent bike that hadn't bent and nothing had happened to it for years. And this guy approached us. There was a group of us standing there. This guy approached us and he said, I've started my own BMX company. I wonder if you're interested in looking at some of the parts I've made. So we were young lads and we thought, all right, that sounds pretty cool. So we said, all right, mate, what have you got? And he brought out this catalogue, right? Which seemed a bit weird at the time. So I opened it up and it was just pages and pages of loads of different hubs, loads of different rims, loads of different BMX frames that would look like they'd been completely designed, right? Just there on the page. But this guy just said to us, oh, I've just started my own BMX company, just started. But he had this fully formed catalogue of what appeared to be complete designs, finished products, and loads of different ones. So I said, what's going on, mate? Like, have you designed all this from scratch? And he said, oh, yeah, I designed it all from scratch myself. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that I make, and I could do good prices in that. We thought, this seems suspicious to us, so we just, we were polite to him and that, but we were like, yeah, whatever, mate, and just, he went on his way. Anyway, I spoke to my other mate about this, and he said, yeah, that guy had approached me as well. And it turned out that, guess what? This was the first time that we'd seen one of these Chinese catalogue companies. Someone in the West, a Westerner, who's got a catalogue of Chinese stuff that's fully made, fully completed parts, and he's trying to pass it on as his own stuff. Why did this happen in 2002? As I said, in the late 90s, the quality started to improve. So more people got into BMX and BMX got more popular, right? So it had been about 5 years since the industry had started to mature, like more money was coming into it, basically. When the core industry starts to develop, you get people who want to cash in on that, which is exactly what was happening here, right? This guy saw an opportunity and he thought, I know, I could get some parts from a Chinese catalogue company, pass it off as my own, take the money off these kids. So what's going on in road then? Well, since about 2010, 2011, like I said, there's been a load of companies appearing seemingly out of nowhere with completed products. Now, why does that raise suspicion? Well, to design a product takes a very long time, and it's an iterative process. It's iterative in that you need to, first of all, design the product, and designing it is a very long process. You need to brainstorm the initial ideas, look at what problems your design will overcome, look at what your design is going to focus on, because a design can't be everything at the same time. You then need to fine-tune this design. You need to then peer edit this design, unless you're an absolute genius and can do it by yourself. You then need to send this design off to have it evaluated by a machinist to see if it can be created. You then need to create a prototype, which is a lot of money. You then need to get the prototype, test it, break it, send it back with your design updates. You then need to test that again, break it, send it back. You need to keep doing this, fine-tune the design, okay? When you're happy with your design, you then need to work out the economics of scale. So you need to work out how can you produce this thing cost effectively to actually be able to make it. Now this is a huge process, and that long process will end up with one product, which you'll then put on the market. Loads of people will ride it, half of them will break it, there'll be loads of complaints, they'll come back, you've got to redo the process again. It's iterative. It takes a very long time. Now, if you look at real companies who make real products that they've designed themselves, you can see this process in their product range. Let's look at a case study then. Someone like, again, bit of a fanboy, but Extralight. If you look at an Extralight hub, you can see over the history of the range that the first Extralight hub looks like the most recent one, but the most recent one has loads and loads of different design iterations, loads of modifications, loads of things done, loads of things updated to it. And if you look at any hub that they've made, they all look like they've come from the mind of one or two people. There's an identity to the design, okay? Because designing and engineering, it's an art. So the voice of the artist, the vision of the artist appears in the product and across the product range. Now, look at another one. Tune hubs, for example. All the tune hubs, they've got their own identity. They've got their own sort of key things they focus on in terms of the engineering. Shimano, well, look, Shimano are the kings of this. You look at the whole Shimano range. You can look at a Shimano product and go, right, that's Shimano immediately, because there's an identity to it, okay? And the identity comes from the vision of the designer, as well as the iterative design process and the focus that they've gone for, okay? 3T, another one. You look at a 3T product, yeah, it looks like a 3T product, and you can see how they've tuned it over the years. Man, look at your fucking iPhone, yeah? iPhone 1, iPhone 7, they all look about the same, but there's a design, there's a process. Now, this doesn't appear with these Chinese catalogue companies, because the guys who are doing it are not the designers. All they're doing is picking parts out of a catalogue. So these companies that pop up, these Chinese catalogue companies, all they're doing is they're picking stuff out of a catalogue, and there's no identity across the product range, because they're picking products from lots of different designers and lots of people are making different things. So in that sense, they're totally fake. The other sense is that the products they're selling are now totally available for anyone to buy directly from the actual designer, the actual manufacturer, for a fraction of the cost that these catalogue companies are trying to charge the end user. All right? So what does the catalogue company offer for this huge amount of money? Fuck all. Nothing. All they're doing is they're putting their sticker on the rim, having their logo laser etched on the hub through the hub manufacturer's OEM program that they all offer, and then quadrupling the price of the total unit, selling it to you. You're getting nothing for your money, right? It's a rip-off. Now, for somebody who is interested in design and who does design their own stuff and has gone through the process and is a bit of a bike nerd, i.e. me, it's simple for me to identify these companies, these catalogue companies. Very easy, because through my activities I have a fairly deep understanding of design and engineering and all that kind of stuff. But for a lot of people, it may be not so easy to see that the product they may be buying is just one of these bullshit catalogue company ones. Because the thing with these catalogue companies is they are very good at typing shit on the internet and creating this sort of whirlwind of grey zone bullshit to try and convince you that they have made the product. But you'll find that whenever you ask them actually a question, even a very simple question about the product, they just sort of twist the conversation away from that question because they can't answer it, or the answer they're giving will be such a blatant lie, they think they can't get away with it. Now, how can you identify these companies? Well, the first thing is look at their product range. Does it look like all the stuff has been designed by the same guy or the same group of people? If there's loads of different sort of looking things, there's a chance that they just picked it out of a catalogue. Another one, have they appeared overnight with a completely creative product range? If they have, avoid it, okay? It's impossible to just blurt out a giant, complete product range overnight. It takes generations to do this, okay? Decades. Some other key points you can look at. One of the most popular catalogue company things at the moment is these wheel companies. Now, what they do is they just buy rims or complete wheels from this area of China, where there are a few resellers who are selling these wheels. Now, one of the main resellers is Fast Sports. Okay, that is a Fast Sports rim. I use these rims on my bike. The rims themselves, yeah, they're fine, right? But they're definitely not worth the money these resellers are trying to charge you for. So to identify one of these wheel companies, you just need to look at the rim, really, first of all. So this is a rim bought from Fast Sports Direct. Now, the Fast Sports don't make this stuff. They are a reseller for a factory somewhere in the region. They won't release the information about which factory it is because I think they want to protect their own position, but that's what it is. Now, the key thing is the rim depth that these companies are offering, these catalogue companies are offering. If you look at the Fast Sports page, they offer 24mm deep, 30mm deep, 38mm deep, 50mm deep, 88mm deep, right? And then, as if by magic, all these catalogue companies offer the same depth. So if these catalogue companies are offering a 38mm depth, they're just nicking it off Fast Sports. They're nicking it from this area and trying to pass it off as their own. 38mm is so specific. It's not 40mm, it's not 50, 38. It's such a specific number. Why would they all offer this depth? Because they're all getting these rims from Fast Sports, from one of the resellers. Another one is the width. 20.5, 23, 25, 28. That's what Fast Sports offer. That's what the other resellers offer, because that's what the factories make. All these catalogue companies will offer the same. Okay. Another thing is the way they've laid the carbon. You'll find that it's done in large sections with these Chinese rims. So you've got a section going around here, another section going around there, and they're always angled over slightly. The layover is slightly angled over, and you can see a very clear sort of two-tone colour all the way around. So look for that line, look for that angled over piece. Another one, there's a serial in here they all have with a little barcode on it. This is an old rim that I've knackered, but they all also have a little sticker pointing to the drive side. So have a look for that in the rim as well. In terms of the hubs, these catalogue companies, they all use hubs from just a small group of hub companies in China. Now that is Bytex, U-Hub, and there's a few other ones as well. Okay, I'll list them all in the description of this video. Now, you need to do your own due diligence here. So if you suspect that this company is one of these catalogue companies, have a look at the rim closely. They'll claim it's their own rim. It isn't their own. Have a look at the hub closely. They'll claim it's their own hub. It might have their logo on it, but it's a piece of piss to get the company to laser etch that on for you. All right. Have a look at the hub and then go to the various hub manufacturing websites, which I'll link below, and check, does it match any of those? There's a very high chance that it does. Okay. Now, like I say, it'll be Bytex, U-Hub, Hubsmith, Novatech, maybe one of these companies. And now these companies' hubs they're cheap. They're not very good quality generally, but they're all right. But they're definitely not worth the money that these catalogue companies are trying to charge you. In terms of spokes, they'll generally offer Sapim CX-Ray because Fast Sports are the dealer for Sapim CX-Ray in China. They get them in huge amounts of bulk, all right, and they sell them so cheap. Okay, so seriously, there's a lot of bullshit in road cycling at the moment with all this. It's been going on for years, and not many people call it out. I don't really know why, because I don't know about you, but I don't like to be ripped off, and I don't like to be lied to. All right. Now, all these catalogue companies are doing is they're lying to you. Okay, They're not innovating. They're an insult to the real companies who spend huge amounts of money, time, love, and skill developing products over a very long amount of time. There's no accountability if one of their products breaks, and it's just a piggybacking on the real guys who are doing the real work and the real innovation. Those guys who sit up all night designing stuff. It's an insult to them. So just don't go anywhere near it.